every fight to make next in the UFC heavyweight division. Now, the heavyweight division right now is looking better than ever. A lot of prospects, including the likes of Alexander Ramanav, Sergey Pavlovich, Chris Dawkins, Tom Aspinall, Tybura. A lot of up-and-coming prospects in this heavyweight division looking to get a big step up and build their name off of these veterans of the UFC heavyweight division, like a Stipe Miocic, maybe even like a John Jones, who is coming up in a little bit. So it's going to be insane because there's a lot of fights on here, a few of them that already have fights, but there's some guys that have injuries, or some guys that are on long layoffs and things like that. So we're going to start with number 15 in Blago Ivanov, a guy that just got a very, very solid win over an unranked Marcos Rogerio de Lima. So I'm not going to say Blago Ivanov is going to get an unranked opponent as of right now. He definitely does deserve to go a little bit up in the rankings over someone that is coming off a loss, or over someone that is just really not doing too good recently. He's not deserving of a guy like up there in the top 5, top 6 of the heavyweight division. The best I'll go with would maybe be the loser of Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Alexander Volkov. But for right now, I'm thinking of fight with Ramanav doesn't make sense. Sakai, Shamil could be a good one. Shamil Abdurakhimov could put two veterans, and one of them would get outside the UFC. So that is actually what I'm gonna go with as the first fight right here. Is two guys that are that weren't doing too good. Blagoy did lose to Junior Dos Santos, lost to Derek Lewis, Agusto Sakai. I think a good bounce back fight after the Marcos Rogerio de Lima fight would actually be a veteran versus veteran fight in this heavyweight division against Shamil Abdurakhimov. So number 12 versus number 15, maybe on a pay-per-view or something like that. That would be the first fight to make in the heavyweight division. Number 2, Agusto Sakai. Who are you going to give Agusto at this point? Because he's lost to very legit guys. I mean, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Alistair Overeem in a main event. Jairzinho Rozenstruik in a main event. And then Tybura. Jairzinho up there in the rankings. He's at number 8 in the UFC rankings. That's very high in the rankings as well. And Tybura at number 3. Then Alistair Overeem was in the top 10 as well. So Agusto, I don't think deserves a step up in competition. Definitely is at that point in his career where he's probably going to get one of the guys outside of these top 15. The first guy I would say would probably be Parker Porter, only if he beats Jailton Almeida. If he goes out there and he's able to beat Jailton Almeida, I think that would be enough for Parker Porter to get that top 15 of fights, but we don't know that yet. So I'm guessing a good fight to make would actually be Martin Bidet. Martin Bidet doesn't have the most experience inside of the UFC. Only one fight over Chris Barnett right there, but as of right now, Rodrigo Nascimento, Jake Collier, Ben Rothwell, Juan Espino, Parker Porter's fighting Jailton Almeida, Alir Latifi, that could be a decent one, but I don't think he deserves that just yet. There's really no guys out here that are good enough prospects that I would say deserves that top 15 fight. And I'm not saying that Martin Bidet is the one guy that deserves a top 15 fight. So it might be one of those scenarios where maybe you have to do like Martin Bidet versus a Tanner Bozer, and the winner of that one then is able to fight Agusto Sakai, because there's no real clear guy outside of the top 15 that really deserves a fight against Agusto Sakai at this moment in time. So I would actually say the winner of a potential future fight of Tanner Bozer and Martin Bidet. So at this point, the two fights we have as of right now are going to be Blagoy Ivanov versus Shamil Abdurakhimov, and then the second fight that we do have is going to be the winner of Martin Bidet and Tanner Bozer. Tanner Bozer or Martin Bidet winner. Martin Bidet winner versus Agusto Sakai, because he does not deserve a fight with any ranked opponent. He's getting knocked out in every single one of those fights recently. He does not deserve another top 15 fight. Agusto has to go outside of the rankings and find a prospect looking to break inside that top 15. So I think two guys outside of the top 15 that every now and then look to break in the top 15 would probably be Martin Bidet or Tanner Bozer. Number 3, Alexander Ramanav. He's at number 13. We're not going to give him an unranked guy. We're not going to give him Agusto, Blagoy, or Shamil Abdurakhimov. Sergey Pavlovich already has a fight. Marcin Tybura is just sitting there, guys. Marcin Tybura, if you look at his last few fights, he was on a very good win streak. Sergey Spivak, Maxim Grisham, Ben Rothwell, Greg Hardy, and then Walt Harris. Then he lost to Alexander Volkov. So right now he's at number 10. He's lost to Alexander Volkov. Jairzinho's already fighting him. He's not going to go up just one spot and fight Chris Daukaus. So I think a fight to be made here would be Marcin Tybura versus Alexander Ramanav. I think that's two guys that have very good wrestling in this heavyweight division. Put them up against each other and we see who is the best wrestler grappler type of guy. Maybe aside from like a Tom Aspinall and a Curtis Blades, maybe a Stipe Miocic as well. But I think that would be an amazing fight. Alexander Ramanav, the undefeated up-and-coming prospect, versus Marcin Tybura. Alexander Ramanav versus Marcin Tybura. Really good fight there in the heavyweight division. Now, after that one, it gets very interesting because we got Chris Daukaus at number 9 in the heavyweight division. He just lost to Derek Lewis by knockout, and then he lost to Curtis Blades by knockout. But those are very high-ranking guys. Derek Lewis is at number 5. Curtis Blades is at number 4. Very legit guys. Tom Aspinall already has his with Cyril Gane. Volkov already has his with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And I've already made matchups for all of these guys right here. So at this moment in time, I would say that Chris Daukaus could honestly just wait it out a little bit, because we do have a fight coming up with Derek Lewis and Sergey Pavlovich, and that is what is going to be happening next. I'm saying the loser of Derek Lewis, Sergey Pavlovich, if it is Sergey Pavlovich. If Sergey loses that fight, I would say a good fight would be two guys that have lost to Derek Lewis in Sergey Pavlovich versus Chris Daukaus. That would be the next fight to make. Chris Daukaus versus Sergey Pavlovich, only if he loses to Derek Lewis, because there's really no one out there that just screams that they should fight Chris Daukaus there. There's not really any guys that deserve a big step up in competition to fight Chris Daukaus, especially no one outside of the rankings that should go from unranked all the way up to that number 9 spot. So if Chris Daukaus can just wait it out a little bit, and if Sergey Pavlovich loses, I would say that'd be a good fight to make. After that one, we already have Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Alexander Volkov. We already have Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. We already have Derek Lewis versus Sergey Pavlovich. I think we don't have anything with Tai Tuivasa just yet. There was thoughts that maybe Tai Tuivasa, I'm forgetting, bro. I'm thinking Tom Aspinall was supposed to fight Cyril Gane. So yeah, we do have something for Tai Tuivasa against Cyril Gane, and then Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. The only guys that do not have fights are Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. So at this point, it's really going to come down to where I think Stipe, Ngannou, and Jon Jones should go. And honestly, we're going to go Stipe versus Jon Jones for the interim belt. That is just the clearest thing to make, because right now, I do think Francis Ngannou has a little injury going on at the moment, and he's not going to be wanting to take a fight with Jon Jones just yet until his injury is healed. So we'll wait till that is healed, and we'll put on a Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic interim title fight. So as of right now, the fights I do have in the heavyweight division is Francis Ngannou versus the winner of Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones. We have Cyril Gane versus Tai Tuivasa. Obviously, we have Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones, Tai Tuivasa, Cyril Gane, Curtis Blades versus Tom Aspinall. We got Derek Lewis versus Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Chris Daukaus versus Sergey Pavlovich, Marcin Tybura, Alexander Ramanav, Shamil Abdurrahimov taking on Blagoy Ivanov, and Agusto Sakai taking on the winner of a potential Tanner Bozer Martin Bidet fight. That is what I think should happen next in the heavyweight division. I think there's a few other guys outside of the rankings that maybe with one good win can definitely pop into the rankings. Juan Espino has been very inactive since his Alexander Ramanov loss. If he were to go out there and fight like a Tanner Bozer, if he were to go out there and fight an Alir Latifi, a Jay Collier, one of those guys, I might actually switch him instead to fight Chris Daukaus. But at this moment, these are the fights I think should happen, along with the fights that have already been scheduled to happen in the heavyweight division. Well, what do you guys guys think should happen here in the 265-pound division? Who do you guys think should fight who in the heavyweight division? Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.